Welcome back to another Couch Chat with the CSE expert. Today, we're again here with John Ring, one of our mortgage experts at the credit union. And today, John, we're going to be talking about realtors and why you should work with one if you're looking to buy a home. The process of buying a home is chock full of tasks. If you're unfamiliar with a lot of the processes, and even if you are familiar with it, there's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. And realtors can really look out for you in that process. So explain to our members and anybody watching this what some of the benefits of doing, or what some of the benefits of working with a realtor are in the mortgage process.
I think the main thing is that you want to have your realtor. Most sales transactions involve two realtors. One realtor representing the seller of the home, the listing agent, and the other would be working for the buyer, and that's called the buying or the selling agent, actually. So I don't know what the percentage is, but the vast majority of transactions take place with two realtors. You can have one realtor representing both. Let's say you go to an open house and the realtor there is the agent that listed the property with the seller. They're working on behalf of the seller, but by ethics and legal reasons, they are compelled to give you the very same treatment. However, I don't feel you should leave yourself vulnerable into wandering into an open house and taking whoever happens to be there. You should meet with a realtor, see if you're comfortable with them, and make sure that they're representing your interest in trying to find a house for you rather than trying to sell the house that they have listed to you. So there's a little bit difference in the philosophy when you have a realtor who's looking out for your interest and trying to find a home that you want and that will fit your needs, as opposed to a realtor who has this house and wants to sell it to you.
Yeah, good point. So when you're looking for a realtor, what are some things you should be looking for or questions you should ask?
I think there's all kinds of different schools of thought on that. You know, I've seen very good realtors who have very limited experience. Maybe they just started, so they're very hungry and thorough, and they might be learning along the way, but in some cases, those folks really try to do a good job because they want to get a good reputation. And then you have the experienced realtors who know exactly what to do, so, and then everything in between. I think the main thing, rather than trying to assess whether somebody's the right experience level, I think the main thing is, do they work in the market that you're looking at? Are you in the $100,000 and down market, or are you in the $200,000 market or the $300,000 market? And also, it has to be somebody that, quite frankly, you're comfortable with. You're going to be spending a lot of time with them. You're going to be riding around in their car, having multiple phone conversations. It really comes down to trust, and that's kind of a gut check. And if you feel like you have found somebody that you can trust and you like that realtor and you can have a good relationship with them, then I think you're going to be well represented. I don't have a laundry list of technical things that I think you should be checking off when you're working with a realtor. They all have different designations, certifications, and you can go that route and say, well, who's accredited in this area? We have realtors, for instance, that are accredited and specialize in maybe first-time home buyers, or other realtors will specialize in investment properties, and some realtors will specialize in seniors. And some realtors will advertise themselves as specializing geographically. So there's all kinds of different scenarios and specialties, if you will. But I think you have to kind of just meet and talk to 2 or 3 realtors, grab a cup of coffee with them, and see how that feels.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know when my wife and I bought our first home, our only home, the realtor really was driving the ship of the whole process. And yeah, that was something that was nice because we felt very comfortable with it. So earlier you talked about maybe not wanting to walk into a home and buying with the realtor who's listing that home. In some cases, you may run into a scenario where your agent that is working with you to find a home might also be a listing agent for a different home, or
Sure.
work with somebody who is that listing agent. Are there any pros and cons to that, or
Well,
what do you think?
I mean, let's say you decide to go with a certain realtor after meeting them, and they happen to show you a home that they have listed. That's a perfectly legitimate transaction, and an ethical realtor who operates according to the standards of the industry and legally will represent yours and his seller's or her seller's interests. That can happen, and it happens every day. It's not the most typical transaction.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to suggest that just because you've selected a certain realtor that you should not have them represent you just because you're buying one of their properties,
Sure.
if that sort of answers your question. Having said that, if you wander into an open house and you had spoken and selected a realtor, and let's say this realtor was not accompanying you, you've got to make sure that you tell the realtor that's hosting the open house that you already have representation.
Okay.
Because if you don't, sometimes that person will try to, if you want to negotiate on the home, you're essentially cutting the realtor out who you may have spent hours and hours with. The other thing I'd like to make a point of is when I bought my first home, I did a for sale by owner transaction only because the house was not listed with a realtor. And I had spent countless hours with a realtor who drove us all over the place, and I felt so bad when I called her and told her. But at that time, I wasn't in this business. I would do it entirely differently now. I would actually, even though as much as I know in this business, I would have that realtor represent me in a for sale by owner transaction, and you can do that. The seller has to agree to that, but that gives you, what does a buying agent do for you, even a for sale by owner transaction? Make sure you're getting the best price and getting all of the features that you want. We didn't know how to price that home. And I think back on it and I thought, I might have ended up paying the difference in the realtor commission in a sense.
And what you got.
In having a fair price, because I really didn't know. I just actually paid very close to what the person asked. So realtors, I think, have a lot of value in not so much the nuts and bolts of showing you the home. That's easy. Anybody can walk through a home. They know the things that they need to look for. What are the red flags? What is the value of the home, though, is the fundamental issue.
Sure.
Are you getting a $100,000 home for $100,000?
Okay. So the art of the deal, if you will.
Yeah, if you will.
Well, thank you, John, for that. I appreciate it. I hope this helps anybody watching this with selecting a realtor or in some cases deciding whether you're going to get a realtor or not. So thank you, John. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Look forward to next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.